Looking back on the tape, can you give us an assessment of Kenny's day other than what we were able to see?
You know, Kenny, obviously for that magnitude of a game and being his first career start, he played exceptionally well. You know, just as a coach, you can always keep getting better. And, you know, there was 12 plays I thought out of the 99 that I graded him down on, which things that we can keep improving and get better. But overall, that kid, he rose to the occasion and he played pretty well.
Were you impressed with the poise he showed playing in that kind of environment?
Yeah, I was. That was one of my concerns going into the game. You know, so I started off with 2 screens, 2 easy passes just to see it build his confidence up. And right when you're about to walk out, you know, for that first play, just to kind of look him in the eyes. He didn't have any nerves to him. He came out there, he completed those 2 passes pretty easily, and the rest we just moved on with the game plan from there. But I did have some concern on how he's going to handle that situation, but he handled it great.
So after those first 2 passes, were you like, he's
Oh,
good?
yeah. After those first 2 passes, I said, let's roll.
Can you describe, he seems to be such a good natural fit for this offense. I know we've talked about what he did at the high school level, but what is it that makes him such a good fit for this offense?
You know, lately it's been he's got that the quarterbacks we've had have that athletic ability to keep the plays alive. And, you know, we've in the past been pass happy, and he can extend those plays, which he did a few times for South Carolina. But, you know, Kenny, I think he's just growing up in this system at South Lake Carroll, and just how he's operated a no-huddle offense. I think he's very smooth and very calm and collective and discreet with the signals and on how he operates it. So I always give credit to the South Lake Carroll staff on raising him up, and then he's already so far advanced before I got him. But yeah, he's a great fit for this offense.
How many drops did you guys have when you looked at the film that you said on them?
I didn't look too far into that, but I'd say we'd probably have around 6 to 8. And, you know, there were some plays, too, that there's a lot of those plays where Kenny needs to be more accurate. So you're telling Kenny to be more accurate, and at the same time you're telling the receiver you need to make that play. So, you know, there was only a couple of balls I thought Kenny was off really bad.
You mentioned after the game you were anxious to talk to Dana and Cliff about that formation with no receivers. What did they say about that?
They laughed at that comment, but no, they were proud of how I handled the situation out there. And you know, he went on to play Alabama. Dana did, so we went right into Alabama discussions. And you know, Cliff, same way. He still thinks I'm pretty messed up for doing a formation with no receivers, because to him that's really not considered football.
How much does it help to have guys like that you still bounce things off of, even though they're different schools?
No, it helps out a lot. I trade tape with them every day, and you know, Sundays and Mondays we spend time just discussing our game plans and new wrinkles that we've installed, each of us, into our weekly game plan, and we just talk about everything, about how you practice it, how you go out there and rep it. And you know, it's always good to have guys that have trained me, and you know, then they're still they'll ask me for advice at times too, because they see something that I may have changed up, and you know, it's maybe something that they can carry off with it as well.
Are these texting conversations, or you actually do old school?
It's both. You know, and normally at night it's on the phone, but throughout the day it's through text message.
What's the biggest way you've seen Kenny grow in the time since you met him until now?
You know, he's been pretty much the same kid every day. You know, naturally he's just going to become more mature as he grows older. But, you know, the main thing is just the comfortability that he has with the offense. You know, when you start off with something new, you're unfamiliar with it, so you can see times of panic. But I think he's focused on those weaknesses over the past year and a half, and you know, he's kind of flourished with it now.
Have you opened up the whole playbook to him? Do you feel comfortable with him running anything?
I do. He's got the whole playbook. You know, partially you can do a little more advanced stuff with him, because we repped a lot of the stuff with Johnny last year, and he's actually seen it, and he's actually repped it before in practice. So, you know, you've opened up the playbook to him, but then you can also evolve and add more stuff as well.
What's it been like to have your name praised so highly nationally after that performance?
I really don't look into it that much. You know, my dad's always told me just to keep working at your job, and the rest will just take care of itself.
Coach, is there any fear with him being so laid back that if you get into a real nail biter, he's not going to jump on somebody if they need it?
You know, it was pretty creepy how calm he was for that game. You know, normally you see some jitters, but you know, I'm curious to see how Kenny handles adversity, because there's going to be times like that. It could happen, you know, this week versus Lamar, where, you know, he threes 3 and outs, he throws an interception, because that's naturally going to happen in a game. I just want to see how he can overcome that and how he handles that situation.
What kind of defense is Lamar using?
Lamar, they're a 3 down front. It's a pretty good scheme. They move in and out of with the 3 down front. They're able to move in and out of different looks, and they can disguise things pretty good. They've done a great job, especially in pass defense over the past 2 years. They've led their conference in pass defense. You know, they held Grambling under 300 yards last week, so it's a really good scheme that they do, and it's a team that we can't take lightly.
What do you think of Josh Reynolds' first performance for you guys?
I thought he did great too. He was one of those guys too that I didn't know how he was going to handle it yet, because he hasn't played in any of these games before, and I thought he went out there, and you know, you go throughout spring ball and throughout fall camp, you know, the kid doesn't have very many nerves and he does everything right, and he's probably our most consistent receiver, but still, you know, just the whole atmosphere, I didn't know how he's going to handle it, and he handled it exactly how he's handled it every single day that he's been here so far.
So you think that's not going to be an issue moving forward for any? I mean, that's
for no. And I think once we started having confidence and they started seeing how this offense runs, I think they settled down and they're pretty confident in their play.
Was the patience of Hill something that stood out to you? You know, he threw for 511 yards. I think the longest pass was only 30. I mean, is that you know, something that kind of stood out, the ability to take what the defense gives you every single time? Yes,
he does a great job of playing within the system and understanding what I'm trying to accomplish. If I'm trying to call run plays, is it a good run box? Can we run it up in there, or do we need to get it on the perimeter somehow? And he does a great job of managing that. And there's times where we need to hand the ball off into bad boxes, and he did that too. So I thought he managed handing it off and throwing it on the perimeter pretty well, especially versus a team that loaded the box up so much versus.
Jack, what's it say about Ricky Seals-Jones' mental acumen that you lose clear, you got to use Ricky in different ways, even in the backfield, some at H-back, and he was able just to roll with it?
Definitely, and that's something what we've been training him on since spring ball. So we've gone through spring and fall camp with Ricky working in that situation, and there's a limited amount of stuff that he can do, but you know, he was very calm with it. He went in. We knew that Cam was out, and we still needed to add more heavier run packages in there for us, and he came in there and he executed it pretty cleanly.
You guys took the crowd out of it so quickly. Any fear of that at all with the monster noise you're about ready to run into here?
Well, hopefully they're not cheering when we're on offense, but no, that's always been our thing about this offense is go out there, attack. We got to score, have that fast start. Coach Sumlin emphasizes that in practice every single day, and partially that, especially on the road, that can definitely take the crowd out of it and put the pressure back on them. So that's a big emphasis on our part.
What do you think about Kenny Hill's celebrity and how big he's gotten in the past 4 or 5 years?
Kenny Trill, you mean? You know, the thing is, he's a great kid, and he can handle these situations well. He's been in his bloodlines. You know, his dad being a professional athlete, you can tell that it's rubbed off on him pretty much the same. And you know, I don't think it's going to ever get to his head. You know, I think it puts more motivation on him too, to live up to that standard that he set in the first game.
You mentioned the nickname. What do you think of that clever little play on his last name?
I don't know. That's none of my business on that one. But I know he didn't want Kenny football. That was the main emphasis that he had on that. But yeah, Kenny Trill. I had to ask him what Trill meant. But I guess it means much respected. I don't know. I may be wrong on that.
I think it makes it official, though, now that you used it. So
Kenny Trill? Yeah. I guess we can run with it. I got to play it by Kenny first.
After what Johnny went through last year in terms of all that attention, I guess, Kenny being witness to that, I guess, do you think that will help him handle all that?
Definitely. I'm saying, Johnny he's probably the most publicized college athlete of our time. And, I thought just for Kenny to sit there and watch him learn the offense at the same time, how he can handle media and just the media attention that he gets, that's definitely something that you can tell he sat back and he paid attention to.
Anything else for Coach Fab?
Would he be the kind of kid who would seek out and want that attention?
No, I don't think so. I don't know yet, but as of now, I really don't see him as that guy right now that's reaching out for attention. He's been up watching tape with me on Lamar for the past 2 days, so I like to see that he's still ambitious and he's still wanting to run and make this offense go.
What are your thoughts on Speedy's performance?
The thing I was most impressed with Speedy was his blocking ability on the perimeter. He's a very strong kid, but again, he was one of the guys too. We didn't know how the situation, how he's going to handle it, and he did have a couple drop balls, but he also made some big time plays, and we can easily fix those drop passes. But I was really pleased with Speedy, and I think he's just going to keep getting better throughout the season.
Were you surprised that Malcolm Kennedy was able to coach for? I mean, that South Carolina didn't try to take him away as an option.
The way I look at it is I think we got a lot of good receivers, and I always try, especially in the recruiting process, I tell receivers you want to come here and play around other good receivers because that's going to give you more opportunities to catch the ball because defense has got to play even. If we only had one good receiver, they probably could eliminate you out of the game plan. So, Malcolm's he's so consistent, but I thought we spread the ball around a lot. I think we had 16 guys touch the ball in the game, which, I think that's pretty hard to defend right there.